Today we're going to look at a line that's got some big surprises.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mando number 5.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my channel, Man number 5, and I'm Keith Guppy. Today we're going to look at the blue and dark blue Saga line that came out in 2002 to 2004. Again, and I say this a lot, this line was quite underestimated in terms of its size and amount of really nice vehicles and ships. And later on the line, the dark blue line, some really nice figures, which really turned the corner, I think, for modern collecting. Up to this point, the Power of the Force line and the Episode 1 line have produced a lot of figures, but they weren't great, and they don't hold the value in terms of now. But this line, I think, turned the corner. So the line consisted of 2 or 3 card types, and I'll just go through them. So first of all, in 2002, you had what they called the light blue swirl line. So you can clearly see the swirl on the backing card. The cards were square, pretty boring really. They had the lightsaber in the hands, the classic gold bar going around the edges. Obviously the figure, picture of the figure, the name, and on the back they'd have the figure itself, and then a little bit of dialogue about it. So out of that range there, the swirl line, there was 57 in total from 2002. They then moved on to a smaller series of figures. There were 16 of these, and these were called the Starburst line. So you can see the backing card was a bit different. It had like a Starburst backing, and the line around the edge went quite thin. If you compare it back with the other line, you can see it's quite thin. And the name tab, the name pill is slightly different as well. This is slightly orange as opposed to a reddish colour. And there are only 16 of these produced. The backing card was more or less the same, slightly different style, and had a couple of the other figures on the back. So 16 of those. And then they moved on to my favourite of the 2 lines out of the Saga line, was the dark backing card with the gold bar. Now, as I said, this is where they sort of turn the corner in terms of modern collecting, and some of these figures now are worth not as much as the Clone Wars stuff later on, but turning the corner in terms of probably, 25, 30, 40 quid's worth each. And this is a good example. Coleman Trebor, probably 25, 30 quid. Really nice figure. On the back, they had like a silhouette in the colour of the card, which is quite nice, and a bit of detail about the figures. Now, for this line, there were 35 of the normal line, and then they also brought out a Hall of Fame. There was 12 figures in a Hall of Fame. Now, these are just famous figures like R2-D2, but they had these stands. They either had a clear stand or a black stand, like that. So there was actually 24, if you class the 2 variants. And these come back right at the end of the line, so 2003, backing cards are the same. And then lastly, came out with the light blue line in the Starburst version, was the Star Tours droids from Disney. These first come out in the Power of the Jedi line a year or 2 before, but they had a bit of Disney, the cast on the back, and a bit about the ride and the droid. This is R5D4, but quite a nice droid with the Starburst backing. I think there are about 3 of these, 3 or 4. So overall on the line, that gave us about 133 figures. As well as the figures, there was a huge amount of other toys, vehicles, creatures, play sets, cups, deluxe figures, which I'll go through in a bit of detail later on. But please stay right to the end of the video, where I will give you, as usual, my interpretation of how much the whole set, this line, is worth, and what figures I still need to get to complete it. So please stay tuned to the end. So the line had its fair share of variants. The light blue line more so than the dark blue line. I think there's only probably 1 variant in the dark blue line, but the light blue line had quite a few, and I'll just talk about just a few of them. Firstly, you had Luke in his Bespin duel after his arm's been chopped off by Darth Vader, if you can see it in there. Now this one is called the non-bloodied stump. Believe it or not. It's very difficult to see, but inside here his stump there is completely, it's not red. And you can see the peg on his hand which goes inside. So that was one variant, and I'll try to show you this. So this is an AFA graded 85, and on the label it says Luke Skywalker with bloodied stump. And if you look inside, it's very hard to show on camera. I'll try. In here, that is actually a ring of red on his stump. And then on the inside, there's no peg on his hand, as per the other one. And that is called the bloodied stump version. So that was one quite well known, I think, variant you had with the figure line. And then you had some really obvious variants, and these were given the same number. This is hash 33 of collection 2. So this is the Endor Rebel Soldier, which is the white unbearded version. There you go, quite a nice figure actually. And then you had the bearded version with dark hair, completely different, but with still the same collection 2 number 33 on it. So yeah, so that was one of the more obvious variants you have of the line. And then you had some that are really quite difficult to spot. So this is Imperial Officer from Star Wars: A New Hope, and he has got 2 different hair versions now. You have to look very closely in the top there, up there. So you see his head. That is a light brown version, or almost blonde. And then on the other version, you've got a very, very dark hair version there. Hope you can see it. Sorry, it's not great. So yeah, 2 versions. The dark haired version is shown here in the back on the backing card. Yeah, so that's a not so well known variation. And then you had Boba Fett. Now this is I know this is a dark blue version, but you had 2 different colour trousers and top. So this is the green version of his trousers. That is actually green and just difficult to see on here. And then they also did a blue version. This is a graded one. I know this is on the light blue card, but this is a much brighter blue trousers and sleeves by his elbow. This was graded 85 plus by CAS. So there, yeah. So it had its range. There are lots more. There's a gold bar one with Luke with a glove on, and one with not a glove. There's Han Solo and Hoth with different lightsaber handles. So there's quite a few, but there are just a few of them that I thought I'd show you today. So this is part of the video where I give you my top 5 most expensive figures. Now, the light blue line is a bit difficult to do that because there were only 2 or 3 stand-up figures, but the dark blue line is a different matter, and I'll go through that. So what I thought I'd do is just go through some of my favourite figures from the light blue line. Now they did 2 Caminos. They did Torn Wee with a little clone tube, like hatching bowl or tube, which is quite cool. I'm pretty sure Caminos were only available in this line. They might, yeah, but let me know if I'm wrong. I think they're only available in this line, and obviously because of the Bad Batch, they're quite in demand. So this Torn Wee is probably 25 quid, possibly. Yeah, it's called a clone chamber on the back. So that's Torn Wee. Then you've also got the other clone, which is Lama Su. And you've got actually a little clone child there as well, which is really cool. And this is obviously the leader of the Caminos, and that's the backing card. So I think they're quite cool. Again, they're probably about 20-25 quid, those ones, but they've gone up a little bit. And then you had a Jar Jar is Gungan Senator, which is, I think, again, is a unique figure of this line. So I think this is pretty cool. You can probably pick it up for 12-15 quid, but I really like that figure. It's obviously I think he came out one more iteration in the as a senator. That was probably a cartoon version though, actually. So that's pretty cool as well. And then getting to my favourite figures now, we had Dexter Jetster, which is a cool figure in the film. This is definitely the only iteration you can get. Yeah, pretty sure it's the only iteration you can get of him. And he's quite a chunky figure actually, with 4 hands. Probably that one, again, you probably pick him up for 20 quid, 15, 20 quid, I suspect. And then I really like this one. Again, this isn't worth a lot, but this is, you had the female Tuscan Raider with baby. So I think this came out again, but it's obviously quite unique. And this is obviously, they get slaughtered by Anakin in Attack of the Clones, as you know. But a great couple of figures they are. And quite in demand, actually, especially when Boba Fett series is on. Probably now 15, 20 quid to buy. And then my absolute favourite of the light blue line is F1 Mon, unsurprisingly. Now this is a really chunky figure. I reckon this is probably the heaviest figure in the whole modern collection. I might actually do an episode where I actually weigh the heavier ones. There's 2 or 3, some of the Wookiee warriors from the other films, the other lines are pretty heavy, and there's some other creatures from Jabba the Hutt's palace that are heavy, but I think that's pretty cool. It's very difficult to get that in a nice bubble because it's so heavy. This one unfortunately has got a crease, otherwise he would have been graded. He's got a crease there, which is a shame, but a really smart figure, and I know a lot of people want this figure. He's probably the most expensive, probably about 30, 40, 50 quid if you want him. But yeah, a really smart figure, that one. But yeah, that's a light blue line, but we're going on to the gold bar line, and that's when the figures start, you know, mounting up in terms of value. So I'm lucky enough to have the complete collection of figures in the Saga line, but I want to still show you, apart from my top 5 in the dark blue line, I'd like to show you some of my favourites. And we had a couple really cool cameos in Attack of the Clones from the actor who played Jar Jar Binks. Now this is, his character is, I'm going to crucify his name, Ahmed Beck, I think it is. And he was in the Outlander Club at Coruscant, where Obi-Wan Kenobi was looking for Sam Wessel. But a real cool figure. And like I said, he then appeared as a Jedi. I think it was in Boba Fett or Mandalorian series later on. And together with him, you had Lieutenant Dan Phaetona. Another great cameo from Daniels. Obviously, he plays C-3PO. But there's a very clear picture of him on the back. But yeah, a really cool figure again. These aren't that much money, probably, I don't know, 20, 25 quid. But really cool figures. I thought I'd mention them before I get to my top 5. And then you had another really nice figure, only with this line, a Twi'lek, I think they're called, A Vida, she was called. But she again was in the Outlander Club, so a really unique, nice figure there. With like a serving, no, it's a seat, with a seat and a cup. Yeah, really cool figure. That would go nicely with the other 2 I just showed you. And then before I get onto my top 5, a really other nice figure that's very unique. It was in the Attack of the Clones, in Jexter Dexter's Diner. It's WA7. She was a droid. It was kind of on a wheel, and she comes with a serving tray and a little base plate. So yeah, really cool figures before we get onto the top 5. And again, most of the figures outside the top 5 or 10 were 15, 20 quid. So let's move on to my top 5. So in number 5, in terms of value, is Alien Sleazebagano. Again, I probably crucified that name. But this figure's gone up quite a lot recently. But again, another obscure figure from the Outlander Club. And he comes with a nice bit of a bar set from the club. So they all look nice together. And then at number 4, there's 2 Jabba Cell Barge guys. This one's graded U90, so a really nice piece. This is one of the Cell Barge figures that's only available in this line. So over the years, especially when the Cell Barge was released, this figure was going for sort of 80, 90 quid. It's settled down now, and you can probably pick one up for about 40 quid, I expect. 40 or 50 quid. But there's 2 specific Cell Barge figures. This one's pretty cool. It's got a real kind of World War One machine gun with him. But really cool figure. That one's graded. And then at number 3, you've got Rapatuni. So one of the musicians in Jabba's palace. This one is now about 50 quid to buy. but a really cool looking like frog creature. And there he is at the back playing his sort of musical instrument. But really like that figure. One of the more expensive ones, as I said. Then at number 2, and there's probably almost a tie between 2 and 1, we've got the R1G4 droid. Now I think this, and there is a Disney droid set that's been released recently with this one in different colour scheme. This is the only way you can get this droid. So I've gone up a hell of a lot, R1G4 in the last few years, and this is about 50 or 60 quid. I saw one sell on eBay last week, I think for just over 60 quid. So yeah, a real nice droid, quite hard to get. Well, very hard to get in any other lines, impossible. And then finally, there was 2 Padme Amidala figures. One is the Secret Ceremony, which is quite sought after, but this one's probably the most expensive figure in the line. Is Padme Amidala at Lars Homestead in her blue dress. So you get the blue dress, you get the additional cloak, and then you got a real nice piece of base, Lars Homestead base for this one. This one's graded AFA 85, so again, excuse the glare on these figures. But yeah, there's a picture there. You can see her with her cloak on and the blue, and you can see some all the. Funny enough, most of the figures I've picked are on the back there as well. Yeah, there was also a couple of Imperial dignitaries that were really cool. But yeah, this is, and as I said before, this is where they up the game a little bit, and these figures now are worth quite a bit. You know, when I say worth quite a bit, they're 30, 40 quid, 50 quid, 60 quid. Whereas anything before that in the episode 1 and Power of Force lines, apart from the likes of Weequay, Sand Trooper, are worth sort of, you know, 8, 9, 10, 12 quid. So yeah, so that's the dark blue line. So let's move on now to the vehicles, creatures, figures, multi-packs, cups and exclusives. So the line had its fair share of exclusives, like most of the line did. This one is quite one of the probably most famous ones. It's Celebration 3 from 2002, Star Wars Celebration. Now, this is Commander George Sakau, and if you look closely, he might look a bit familiar. That is actually George Lucas spelt backwards. So this is supposed to look like George Lucas would in a X-Wing pilot's outfit. He's got the leaflet in the background, so there's like an X-Wing in the background of the side of the card. It's a really cool piece with a little miniature X-Wing that sits on a stand. So quite a unique piece. These are probably, I don't know, 30 or 40 quid. Once upon a time they're a bit more than that, so that's a real cool exclusive. And then I just want to run through, it was a silver anniversary, so they brought out a range of silver figures. I've got all of them graded, so I'll go through them. And one of them is probably one of my top 5 favourite figures ever produced since 1995. Now, they did a number of these. They weren't great. The moulds were pretty poor, if I'm honest. All mine are great. This is U90. This is from 2003. So this is the Toys R Us silver promotion figure. So it's they're all silver figures. A bit of a dull silver with a nice picture on the back. So that was from 2003. And then they did the first Darth Vader, well, the second Darth Vader. They did Darth Vader from 2004. And that one was the New York Toy Fair Fan Club exclusive, I believe. Yeah, or it might be the other one. I might be getting mixed up, but this is from 2004. Yeah, so quite a nice case. Again, the dullest sort of figure. And then they did a R2D2. Which is again a Toys R Us silver anniversary from 2002. Yeah, 2002. Now this is a better figure because this is like a shiny version, which is quite cool. I wouldn't mind this loose to go in my droids collection. Yeah, much better. Probably the second best figure in the line. This one from 2002. I don't know why they went to the dull silver ones afterwards because they're not so nice. But this one's a nice shiny one with a bit of colour. It's got a bit of blue in it, so it's quite a cool droid to get. Yeah, so that's quite a nice figure. Martin or Adam might be after that one actually, because that's quite cool. And then finally in the silver line, 2002. Yeah, this is a New York Toy Fair. This is actually probably my favourite figure ever. It's the only figure I believe that has part of the figure coming out of the bubble, and if you can see it there, it's a red lightsaber sticking out right through the top. Absolutely smart. I really love that. It's a better shade. It's like a kind of purpley colour, silvery colour. It really catches your eye. Really looks smart. I really love this. I had to get this graded because that just snaps off. A lot of them you'll see they've snapped off for obvious reasons, but absolutely lovely figure. I wouldn't let this go for anything less than probably a couple £100 because I really like this figure. It's really nice. As I said, probably my top 5, that one. And then they did some holiday specials. They did 2. They did Yoda holiday edition. So a bit like this one. You can get in the Gentle Giant holiday edition, which I'll cover one day because it's got some cool figures in its sack. But yeah, so that's the holiday edition there. And there's a classic postcard. You get the card, the envelope inside of it, which is quite cool. So that's quite nice. And then the other one they produced was the C3PO and R2D2. Now this has got a horribly yellowed bubble on it, so apologies for that. But obviously very unique figures and quite nice to have loose. So I have got the R2D2 in my my droids collection. Again, it comes with the card inside. And then lastly, something that I think's probably underestimated. I really like this. When this came out, I thought this was really smart. This is a JediCon 2004 exclusive. And inside you've got the Super Battle Droid, and then you've got a Clone Trooper. That one's, his chest plate's a little bit yellow if you have a look on that one. But he's got his sort of tripod gun with it. But a really nice pack. I love the pack. It really pops. Nice and red pack. Some nice graphics on the back. However, you could probably pick this up, and it's got JediCon logos on the ends. Really nice pack. Again, I wouldn't mind getting one of these graded. But you can probably pick this up. I've seen it for like 15-20 £, and I think that's great value because I think they're so cool. So yeah, that's a few of the exclusives they did. I think that's all of them. I think I've got all of them. So there you go. That's the exclusives. So before we look at the multi-packs and creatures and other lines they did with the figures, I just want to show you a couple of really nice pieces that I think Martin and Adam from a long time ago would quite like. These are 2 trash compactor packs. Really cool packs, very detailed inside. This is the second one, which is chewing Leia, and then you've got the trash monster just poking his head out down the bottom if you look carefully. Really cool set, but what makes these really cool is they go together. So when you put these together, it looks like a really nice set, and this is set number 1 with Luke and Han in Stormtrooper outfits. But really nice. It's got some really nice wear on the outfits. There's the back end of the monster wrapped around Luke as in the film. But really cool, these 2. So they're nice pieces, but I think the ones that really Adam and Martin would like, sorry to do this to you, is the Attack of the Clones Geonosian War Room. There's 2 sets of these. They're very similar actually to the Jedi sets, which I'll put a picture of the Jedi sets from this line, which are really difficult to get hold of. The Jedi sets are probably £100 each. These are probably not far off the same. They've all got unique figures in, I believe. Really unique figures. So they're really cool sets. So this one has got Nute Gunray, but I think he's got a different outfit on than normal. Shumei and Passel Agenti, and those second two figures only came out in this range, I believe. If I'm wrong, then please let me know. But really nice. The war room comes together as in the film, so you've got all the gunships taken off, the separatist droids and stuff like that. It's really nice set, and that goes with the other set, which has got Count Dooku in it. It's got Poggle the Lesser and Sam Hill. Now Poggle the Lesser and Count Dooku have been done before or since, sorry, so they might be the same figures, but Sam Hill is definitely a unique figure in the corner there, and Count Dooku is holding the Death Star, and again you've got some gunships taken off on the table, which goes together. There's not actually a picture of them going together, but they look really cool loose and together. But again, these are about £190 each, So Adam, Martin, get your wallets out. Then we move on to the multi-packs. They did about six or seven of these. I've got them all. I thought I'd just highlight some of the nicer ones. I like this one. This is the Jedi Skirmish at Carcoon. And the reason I like this is because of the gun which goes on the cantina. Not the cantina. The Jabba sail barge, which is really nice. I think it's it's probably one of the better versions you can get. It's also got some of the Jedi goons in it. So really nice set that is. And then they're going to get a little bit better than that though. Then they've got the Jedi Warriors pack, which this one's graded 90. Now the reason I like this is because this is the only way you can get the Jedi torture sort of stand that was seen in Attack of the Clones with Count Dooku was torturing Obi-Wan Kenobi. And there it is put together. That's the only way you can get that stand, so it's quite unique from that perspective. And then they had another favourite of mine was the Battle of Hoth set. Now you can get this with the Tauntaun with a broken horn, which I'll share a picture of in a minute. But what I really like with this is it's a bit corny, but I love this because you actually get the Tauntaun's guts in it. Yeah, a close up of that. Yeah, now you don't get that in any other sets. So that's sort of the guts as the belly opens, which is really unique. It's not even mentioned on the back. It's just randomly put in there. So someone's really gone to some, and it's quite if you touch it, it's quite spongy. I know this is 20 years old, but 22 years old, but yeah, it's quite funny. But yeah, so that pack, but then my favourite pack is the Ultimate Bounty pack. So this is all the bounty hunters. So you've got IG-88, Bosk, Boba Fett, and Aurora Singh. But what I really love this set is just look at that that swoop bike. Isn't that cool? And look at the skull on the top. Absolutely smart. You cannot get that anywhere else. And there's a really good picture on the back. Yeah, that swoop bike is absolutely smart as anything. Yeah, so that's probably my favourite in terms of the larger multi-packs. So they also did a range of what they call deluxe figures. And here's two of the better ones, I think. They weren't great. They weren't certainly as good as the Ultra figures I'm going to show you in a minute. Yeah, here's the first one, the Spoiler Droid, which is cool for army building. Yeah, nice version of that one, nice weathering on it. And then in terms of being a bit unusual, this is an unusual one. This is the Super Battle Droid Builder with factory assembly mould. So it's supposed to be a droid factory, and you can see the Super Battle Droid's got a hole in it. And what you're supposed to do is take the mould out of here and pour it in the press, which is here. Pour it in the press, and he moulds his sort of torso, which is really unusual. I hate to think what it looks like now, but something a bit unusual for the kids. But yeah, that's one of the more unusual ones. But then we go on to the Ultra figures. Now these are really cool. These are quite expensive. Some of these are up to 100 quid. So I'll run through some of my favourites. Now probably my favourite, I'll explain why in a minute, is the Hoth Wampa with Hoth Cave. So the great bit about this, apart from him having a bit of taunt on his hand, it's all bloodied. If you get the Luke figure from the line, he's got the same another piece of the cave on him, and that makes the whole cave. So he stands up like that. So the bit that's with him is there, and that's the bit you get in here. So it's really cool, and you can fix his feet to the top of it, which is really smart. But yeah, so I think that's really cool little feature of that set. This Hoth Wampa is probably about 40-50 quid, just to give you an idea. But that's probably one of the medium range ones. And then another unusual one is, and I think this is the only time this is produced, is C-3PO, but with the escape pod, which is really cool. Again, I don't think this was produced again, the escape pod. Not very realistic, but quite a novelty item. and that would be probably about I don't know, 30-40 quid, I suspect, that one. And then the top two expensive ones is probably the Ewok glider, which is, again, I believe the only time that this has come out again. It might be one of the 30th anniversary battle packs. There might be a glider, I can't remember. But unique Ewok glider pack, and that's about 55 quid to buy. It's a bit of a throwback to the vintage version. That's pretty cool and very unique. And then lastly, the most expensive pack by far is the Jabba's Palace Court Denizens. Yeah, so you get the Bomar Monk, Wall Cabasite, which is that one, and then Bobo, which is that one there. Yeah, really unique figures. And now this pack goes for in the region of £90–100. When Jabba's Palace came out and Jabba's Sail Barge, these were going for probably 150 quid, so even more. But a really unique kit. You can get the Bomar Monk is a mail away. I've got a couple of them knocking around from earlier versions, but I think this is slightly different because I think that's got, the other ones have got a blue bubble, a blue bowl, and this has got a red bowl. But yeah, really nice. This is probably one of the highlights of the line, actually, the Ultra Figs line for this series. So you also, in this line, you had the three creatures that were in the Geonosis Arena line or battle. You had Nexu, which is like the tiger one that ripped the back of Padme in the film. Then you had Reek, which is in the film as well, obviously, and I think Jango Fett killed him, cut his horn off and whatever. I've had a look at there is a Arena Encounter 30th anniversary version, and I've had a quick look, but I put a poster picture up. I think they are different. The painting of the creatures are all different. And then you've got Ackley, which I couldn't find, so it might be one I've actually the only thing I've got missing of that, and I've probably got him missing, and the cups. There's 4 cups which I put a picture up of. I've got that missing, but apart from that, I think I've got the whole line. But yeah, some cool creatures that came together in the arena. And then a bit of an unusual one I wanted to show is they did a lightsaber action pack, which is quite cool. This came in various iterations, different lightsabers. I think this is supposed to be I don't know, just a Jedi lightsaber, but I know they did a Mace Windu one as well. It came with 3 figures, but there's various iterations of these. Quite hard to get. I mean, I imagine if you're a true collector and you wanted this, you probably have to pay, I don't know, 70–80 quid for this. The back's blank, but real quite unusual piece. So let's take a look at some of the smaller vehicles first of all. And you had some, they're all pretty unique to the line. You had another version of the swoop bike with Anakin. He went on before he killed the Tusken Raiders. Yeah, Anakin's face made me laugh a little bit. I don't know, he's having a difficult toilet break, or he's really angry. I think he's probably really angry, but he's quite funny. Yeah, so that's a unique swoop bike. I like the swoop bikes in this range. And then you've got a really cool set, a real cool one, and this is Darth Tyrannus's, Count Dooku's speeder bike, Geonosis speeder bike, and that is really unique. Look at that, that's really kind of retro, really nice bike to get. I really like that. Yeah, and he flies it. Ooh. Yeah, he flies it that way, so that's the front, believe it or not, and you can see him flying it there. And that's really cool. And then they've got 2 other really kind of what I like to say 1960s type vehicles, and these were in the chase after Zam Vessel. And this is Anakin's speeder that he nicked off someone, but it's really cool. Look at the yellows and the greens on that. It blasts apart if you crash it, but really kind of Back to the Future type stuff. Really cool colours on that. And then finally you had Zam Vessel speeder, which is the green one, Again, really nice. You've got Coruscant in the foreground there. Again, really sort of 60s retro style. Really nice looking speeder. And there you go on the back. Now, price wise, these were not much for ages and ages, but I would imagine, I've not actually looked these up. Let me have a look. I don't think I've looked these up. Yeah, probably about £30 you can get these for. I did look them up. So not bad, but really cool and absolutely unique to the line. So let's move on to the bigger ships of the line, because I think this is where the line excelled a little bit with some of the ships they brought out, and they really went for it. So before I go on to the ships and vehicles, I just wanted to point out the arena, the battle, Genesis, the battle arena. What a cool set. Now this is a set when I bought this years ago, and I thought, yeah, it doesn't look very good really. It's more of a kiddie's play set, but as it's gone on, it's matured quite nicely, and I've just picked it up after not touching it for a long time, and it's really heavy. It feels like it's jam-packed full of stuff. There's so much going on. It's got loads of features in here. I'll just look at some of them. You got all sorts of stands that fall down, caves, revolving doors, loads of action going on. You got a bit of the droid factory as well. There's just so much going on. Yeah, and it's a cool set, and like I said, it's really packed. And then I believe you can join on other pieces, deluxe sets, into the battle arena, which is really cool as well. So it interacts with some of the other ones. I love that feature. But really heavy set. And there you go at the front. Have a really good look at the front. There's loads going on there. But this set won't take you back loads of money. It's probably, you can get one for probably 100 quid. I think whenever they sold for about 140. But this one's absolutely mint, this box. It's probably graded material, and I might do that if they go up in value very much, and I might well do that. But yeah, really nice set there. There's some more pictures on the front of the inside of it. You can probably get two of these and make a proper battle arena if you really wanted to, and make it look really good. But then they go really well with the creatures that I showed you before, and then you've got the catacombs in the background. So really nice. I just noticed the Genosians in the background, they're a little bit out of scale, and then you got the giant ones here. But I know what they were trying to do. They're trying to give you an impression of scale and how many were in there. But not a bad effort in terms of how play sets go. So the highlight of the Saga line was the vehicles, and it started with quite a basic vehicle. This is the Obi-Wan Jedi Starfighter. You could also get Jango Fett's Slave One, but yeah, that was the fully boxed version. But you could get KB exclusive version, which came in the packaging with the plastic see-through front, which is quite nice, and you got Obi-Wan Kenobi with it here. So that was a KB exclusive in the States. I'm not sure where you get it from in the UK. The normal version's probably about 40 quid. This version's probably about 60 quid. Slightly better backing card as well on that one. So really quite nice. So that's the Jedi Starfighters. And then you got two TIE Fighters. One the normal TIE Fighter, Imperial Dogfight TIE Fighter. Now, I want to just mention something now, and I mentioned this on a live cast the other day with now elastic bands, they are starting to fail, okay, and I've been sort of telling people about this. Elastic bands seem to be failing after about 20-25 years, and this one's gone. This was fine just a few weeks ago, and it's gone, so now it's rattling around the bottom, which is really annoying. So just to look out for you guys, if you're handling these and you've maybe graded them, then take care, because elastic bands are starting to fail. So we had a normal TIE Fighter, then we had the second iteration of the TIE Bomber. Really nice. It's a slightly different paint job. The Power of the Jedi one is a little bit lighter than this one, but yeah, cool. The pilot in there, he's strapped in by elastic bands, but he's just about alright. But quite a nice box, this one. Nice graphic on the side, and then a bit of description on the back. So yeah, a nice version of the TIE Bomber. Then we've got another little highlight of the line is this green Squadron A-wing fighter. This one's graded. This is graded UKG 85, and I just wanted to keep the. Oh, sorry, really dusty on the top. I thought we'd dust this off. But yeah, really nice. Comes with a unique pilot. I don't know the name of the pilot. It doesn't actually say, but if anyone knows in the chat, then let me know. But yeah, it's a real nice green Squadron version rather than the red one that came out of the Power Force line. This was graded, so a real highlight of these. Now I want to go next. I want to talk about the two really big vehicles of the line and where a lot of the value is. To get all these vehicles, you're talking 1,300 quid to get all the vehicles of this line, but they are dominated by two vehicles, and one you can see in the background. So this is the first iteration of the Republic gunship from 2002, with the red styling and a bit of green on the front. As I said, the very first iteration of about 6 or 7 ones. This one's sealed, got a little bit of box wear on the top, but these sealed will go for about 200 quid now, if not more. They're quite sought after, the first version. This one's completely sealed, really good condition, apart from a little bit of box wear on the top. Pretty basic ship compared with some of the later ones, but still it's the first one, so quite sought after. Yeah, and about 200 quid these are to buy. So here you have the real highlight of the lines in terms of the ships. This was obviously the Imperial Shuttle, the first of 2 iterations. There was this one, and then a few years later they released it again in the Saga line in a black box. But this was brilliant because this copied the original mould, slightly different paintwork, a bit of texturing on it, a bit of wearing, but a huge vehicle. Really nice. I'll spin this around. I've had to take away from the stand because it's so big. So on the side you've got a Star Destroyer, the Imperial Shuttle coming in. Really nice. This is completely sealed, really nice box, probably grade 80 if I sent it in, and I have been tempted a few times over the years. And there's the Imperial Shuttle on the back, and the Saga version had actually, there it is in the hangar, had 2 exclusive vehicles with it, but this just comes by itself. A great graphic on the front showing the Emperor arriving on the Death Star. Yeah, this will set you back now probably 400 quid plus. Yeah, so really sought after, because that's the same model as the original, and if you've got a vintage one, then you're talking, you know, thousands in some cases. So yeah, there's the Imperial Shuttle, really nice highlight of the line. Yeah, and 400 quid, and if you want all the vehicles in this line, you're talking about 1,300, 1,400 quid because of this and the Republic gunship being so much money. So now we come to the point where I tell you how much the collection's worth, or how much you'd have to spend to get the whole line. So if we start with the figures, as I said before, there were 133 of the figures. I've gone for eBay, as I always do, in meticulous detail. And they come at about £1,387 to get the whole set. They come at £10.42 each. Now that might seem quite low, but the light blue line's probably 7 or 8 quid, and the dark blue line's probably 15 or 20 quid. So that boosts it quite a lot. And there's obviously a lot more light blue line there is dark blue line. So that's why that average seems quite low. Then you come to the vehicles, and they really pack a punch. There was 15 vehicles altogether, and they come a whopping £1,240, which is £82.67 each, boosted obviously by the shuttle and the Republic gunship. Then we've got deluxe figures and ultra figures. There's 23 of those, and they come to £505, and that comes to £20.20 each for those. The multi-packs, there were 7 of those. Remember, they're quite big. And they come to £335. Get your teeth in, Keith. And that comes at £47.80 each. The exclusives, and then the silver ones, the festive ones that we covered earlier on. There was 10 of those, £298. So they come at £29.80 each. And finally, You've got all the creatures, the cups, the trash packs, the war room packs, the cantina bar packs, all quite expensive. And there's 23 of those altogether, including the accessory packs as well. And they come to £810, which comes to £35 and 20p each for those. So the grand total for all of that, and it's a whopping £4,575, which puts it in one of the higher collections. Now, when I started this, I've got a little predictor sheet, and I thought it was worth about £3,000. So I was way out there. That's a lot of money, and I'm only missing, thankfully, in this line, 4 cup sets and Acklay, and I thought I had Acklay. So I'd only have to spend about 150 quid to complete the set. So there you have it. That's the Saga line from 2002 to 2004. And I said I'm going to look at one of the big Clone Wars sets very soon. So keep watching and stay tuned for more in episode 6. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mando number 5.